Good afternoon, everyone. It's a great pleasure to welcome you for this session dedicated on beyond innovation, addressing critical challenges for learning and survival. I'm Professor Xavier Pavy. I'm academic director for the Master in Management program here in Singapore, and I'm also director of the Imagination Center and Professor of Innovation. And then I'm going to talk about innovation. But before that, I just want to give you a few things about, first of all, what ESSEC is. Secondly, is the Master in Management. And then I'm going to give you my masterclass dedicated on innovation. To talk about ESSEC, I just want to go back to more than 100 years ago. That was the beginning of ESSEC Business School in 1907, based in Paris, inside Paris. And then years after years, we were focused on very specific things. It's how could we deliver a pioneer experience, an amazing pedagogy dedicated on the students with a very specific approach, which is what we call it the learning by doing. Since 1907, we definitely have this kind of approach, all dedicated to the students for many, many reasons. And I'm going to give you some details during my talk. Our missions is to train influential leaders, complexity and technology, how could you handle both, as well as cutting-edge knowledge, mainly through researchers. As I said, we have been based and founded in Paris, center of Paris, actually, and then we moved to Cergy-Pontoise, which is on a suburb of Paris, about 30 minutes from the center of Paris. And we have decided to open another campus that was about 20 years ago in Paris itself, what we call it this business district La Défense. The third one is this one where I am today, Singapore, where we were since 2005, and another one a few years ago in North Africa, in Rabat, Morocco. So that's just to 2005, ESSEC Business School in Singapore, that was in the National Library based in the CBD. And in 2015, we have decided to have our own campus. And that's why we have our campus with 11 classroom learning centers. We have, of course, cafeteria for the students. And we are based in the Silicon Valley of Singapore, what we call it One North. 2020 and 2020, it's the next step for us. It's what we're going to do. Definitely faculty teaching and research expertise here in Singapore, achieving an impact, which is important for us, impact on the students to build what we could say a better society, evaluating and elevating our visibility and, of course, our reputation, of course, through quality of programs as well as participants. In Singapore, we have a very large numbers of programs from global BBA and certifications in executive education, executive MBA as well. We have, of course, the Master in Management program and different other programs, such as like finance, for instance. Just to let you know, but it's important, and you probably know that already, we have the famous Triple Crown accreditations. It is ACSB, EQUIS, and AMBA. 2019 ranking, which is something very important for all of us, you as well as us. And the ranking in Asia is #1 for the Master in Management program. So the program I have the chance to run. The second program, very important, is the Master in Finance. Master in Finance is #1 also in Asia. And the worldwide rankings, the Master in Management program is the #3. The Master in Finance is #5, and we have also other ranking, as you can see right on the screen. Another important thing, maybe it's in France itself, it's the global BBA. The global BBA is #2, and the #2 for the Master in Management. So for this talk, my position, the Master in Management is #2 in France, #3 in worldwide ranking, and #1 in Asia. In Singapore, as well as in France, but in Singapore more specifically, we're very international. All professors come from different places in the world. Many Chinese professors, many Australian professors, many Indian professors, but also other professors. For instance, we have professor from Serbia, we have professor from Hong Kong, we have professor from Switzerland, and myself from France. That's the very short global overview of what ESSEC Business School is at large. But it's very important now to narrow a bit my talk about the Master in Management. We call it in French the Grand École program, but the Master in Management is the most common term to present it. So as I said, founded ESSEC Business School in 1907, recognized by the French Higher Education and Research Ministry with a different ranking I already mentioned at this point. Basically, according to what you've done before, the average time with us for the Master in Management will be between 15 and 18 months. Sometimes it could be a bit more than that, but it's really based on what you've done, your past experience, professional experience, as well as your degrees, what kind of bachelor or master you've done before. We have almost 100 exchange partners universities all across the world and 11 double degree. To discuss a bit more about this very important path that you can make with us if you start in Singapore. When you arrive for the very first trimester, you will have, as I just said at the right beginning, a very innovative pedagogy. The innovative pedagogy, we call it the junior consulting experience. So basically, you will arrive in September, and from September to December, you will get this junior consulting experience. This experience, it's very focused on learning by doing with 3 different important moments. The first one is dedicated on working a project, a real case study with a multinational company for about 1 month. The second one is working for an NGO, and most of the time at the end of the second month with the NGO, we go to visit them. That last time that was in Cambodia, the year before that was in India, the year before that was in the Philippines. And the third one, the third part among the 3 parts, the 3 months, first one multinational, as I said, NGO for the second. The third one, it's a project, an entrepreneurial project that you want to do. So this very important experience for 3 months is in parallel of the refreshers. As I said, according to what you've done before, you had certain discipline that you already validated in your previous background, and you have until 7 refreshers according to what you've done. So in parallel, you have junior consulting experience and 7 refreshers. Some of you, maybe you will have 1, 2, 3, or 4 refreshers. Some of you will get 7, according to, again, what you've done. And after this trimester, you will choose between 3 different tracks. The first one is business management in Asia. The second one is corporate finance. And the third one is innovation, entrepreneurship, and sustainability. So 3 different tracks that you can select one of those according to what do you want to do. And it will be from January to end of June. After that, you can go to France if you want. You can go to exchange programs. You can do with exchange partners. You can do whatever you want. If you stay in France, it's a bit different. We don't have this equivalent of junior consulting experience. You have the refreshers, and then after the refreshers in January, you will start your courses, traditional one, according to the numbers of courses you want to validate. This point is very important, and the following years, it's really up to you. You can come back to Singapore if you want to do another track. It could be a operation management track. It could be a consulting one, for instance. You can stay in France. You can go to Morocco, or you can do whatever you want as a professional experience, for instance, internship mainly. Some information about the career prospect, which is very important. As you can see, different companies, international companies, most of the time you will find your job before the 6 months. Before the 6 months you've been graduated. So before the graduations, you will get basically your job before your graduation. About 6 months. 3 months, it's almost what the students do. Just to give you an example of the payroll, the salary, it's about 65k euros. 65k euro is about 100,000 Singapore dollar, And that's basically the average payroll salary that the students get with their first position. So two important things to keep in your minds, that through the Master in Management program at ESSEC, you will get your job 6 months before your graduations, and the average payroll is about 65k euro. To apply, it's different paths, different organizations. The first one is you have to start your application through the website. So you have everything here, essec.edu/Asia. You organize your documents. You will have certain numbers of documents to communicate. Prepare your test. It could be the GMAT, it could be the GRE, it could be the TOEFL, the TOEIC for the language, and then you will submit your applications. So very important to keep in your minds the two important dates. The round 3 will be the 3rd of March, round 3, the 3rd of March, and the second one, the last one actually, the round 4, it's on the 20th of April, 2020. That's basically what I would like to mention to you about the very important two dimensions, what ESSEC Business School is, where we come from since 1907, as well as the focus on the Master in Management program, which is the unique one. And just to remind you that we are the number 3rd in the world, number 1 in Asia, and how you will get the job through the career services, through the career path, and so on and so forth. Don't hesitate to communicate and to ask any question that you want through Sonia Lowe. Sonia Lowe, she's the program advisor. She's able to reply to every single question that you have for your application for any single thing. And on my side as well, if you have any questions, I'm academic director of this program, and I can help you if you have any question. That's basically the first thing I wanted to share with you, because it's important to keep in your mind what ESSEC is, as well as more specifically the Master in Management. To move on the topic that we are all together, I've decided for today to try to find a mix between what innovation is and to what extent this notion of innovation is relevant for you as a prospect, as a student, as a candidate at ESSEC. So it's a question of innovation and education, and you will see how it's very relevant to mix both. First of all, the necessity of innovation is very simple to understand. Innovations come from the Latin word in, which means inside, and innovation in Latin means novare. So the change inside. You will change inside yourself in order to what? In order to survive. And why are you going to do that? It's because your environment will change, and it's continuing change all the time. So to survive in an environment where everything is changing, you don't have the choice. You need to adapt yourself. You need to adapt yourself to change. So basically, as a student, I need to fit with the market, with the competitive market, with the competitive students. And then to do so, I don't have a choice than just to educate myself, to continue to get any degrees and to understand how the world works in order to make sure that I fit with the market demand, basically your employers. So this is very important, and it works very well, not just for the students, and of course, definitely not just for the students or organizations like companies, but also for our body. For instance, for our body, it's very interesting to mention that our wisdom teeth, for instance, that was compulsory to get them a century ago to survive. So you change your body. Nowadays, it's not compulsory to get wisdom teeth. We can remove them and continue to survive because the environment changed. So the body has to adapt to the environment. The organizations need to adapt themselves to the environment, companies, the students as well. They have to adapt themselves according to the environment. So this is very important. But basically, if we go back to the business and companies, the first to describe innovation that was in 1911 with Joseph Holloway Schumpeter. He said this very important sentence: innovation is the industrial exploitation of inventions and their dissemination, which give them their economic importance. Very important. He said, we need invention, or we need idea, but it's not enough to survive. We need to industrialize this idea, and the industrialization of this idea should be not just for one. It's not a prototype, it's not a mock-up. It's supposed to be able to industrialize it. The second thing is about dissemination. When we talk about invention, it could be for one person or an idea for one person. But innovation, you should understand this notion of dissemination. And the last part is very important. It's the economic importance. And behind this term, Joseph Schumpeter explained clearly that it is the profit. So basically, you need an idea. You need to industrialize this idea. You need to disseminate it, and at the end of the day, to make profit with it. If you don't do that, it's definitely not an innovation, it's just an invention. So this point is very important. And the question behind is how to innovate. Different steps: product, process, commercialization of business model, mergers and investment, organization. 4 categories to innovate. To make it short and to make sure that it's clear to all of you, and I really like to use this example, who invented the first MP3 players? Everybody now, we use MP3 players. It could be for running, it could be to work, it could be inside our smartphone. But who was the first device, the first MP3? It has been made by the French guy. The name of the guy is Henri Croas. The anagram is Arcos, but is just an idea. That was just a prototype, without any profit, without any dissemination. On the left side of the slide, you have the invention. On the right side, you have innovation. So it's very clear to understand how we should think about not just an idea, but also the possibility to disseminate and to make profit with it. Schumpeter is the first economist to theorize the concept of innovation, and he said, innovation is the fundamental impulse that sets and maintains the capitalist system in motion. And as you can see, you have different cycles. The different cycles, we call it the Kondratiev cycles, the economic one. And as you can see, they shrink. They shrink a lot since 1785 until 2020, they shrink. And there is just one reason for that. It's a very important reason, the globalization. Nowadays, if you want to launch a new product, you can do that in New York, in Paris, in Beijing, the right same day. Before that, it was not possible. Due to the supply chain, as well as information system, we are able to globalize our thought, our ideas, our services, our product. What does it mean? It means that for a company, its competitors is not only based in the country they are, but also based in a certain other places in the world. And it's exactly the case for you as a student. Your competitors as a student is not just based nearby you, near your country, inside your country, but it could be in US, it could be in Canada, it could be in Mexico, it could be in Europe, and so on and so forth. And at the same time, as you see, the cycles go down. And then when they go down, when you have a financial crisis or an economic crisis, you have at the same time some grapes of innovations. So it's different places. You have the economic decline. And when you have an economic decline, you have at the same time grapes of innovations. And thanks to the grapes, you can grow and you can start again. That's very important because it means what? It means that creation and destruction comes together. Creation and destruction come together. Schumpeter explained it very clearly. A new approach doesn't come from a traditional actor, but along with it and competes against it until it ruins it. Very interesting. Creation and destruction come together in innovation. Like an example that I really like to explain this point, is what's happened with a taxi driver in New York in January 2004. You can see the price of the medallions, the price of the license, the right to drive taxi in New York. That was $250,000. And then it went up, it raised up so fast. And then 10 years after, the price, the value is about 1 million, more than 1 million, $100,000, and not million, sorry, and the price for that. What is very interesting to mention, So interesting to mention, it's, as you can see, when they reach the price, so the price of the medallions, the price of the license, as you can see, $1,200,000. Not very easy for me to read because, sorry, but the screen is a bit far, so it's not very easy to look at the figures. And then, as you can see, that just after, you can see how that go down. So basically, that was very interesting to see that the value of the price, the value of the medallions to drive, to run a car in New York, just raised up very drastically. Then, November 2014, 10,000 Uber drivers came into the market, and as you can see, the price, the value went down. So basically, to rephrase what I said, because I'm not sure that I was clear enough, destruction and creation comes together. We have a very strong creation of value, since January 2004 until March 13, basically. Very strong value creation. Then Uber is coming to the market. Destruction of the value, because the value is captured by the Uber driver. So you have a destruction of the value and then a creation by someone else. Let me give you another example. Pharmacists. Pharmacists in Singapore, very well known, it could be Guardian and others. Singapore has decided to deliver the pills at homes, so you can get your drugs directly at home. Apple is looking to control your health. Nike to improve your health. Cold storage, supermarket that you can get pills, drugs inside the supermarket, and Amazon has decided to deliver drugs as well. Why we can call it creation and destruction? You have creations of health on the right side with the new actors and destruction of the traditional one, the previous or former actors on this market. And what is very interesting to see is on the right side, no one is a pharmacist. The last example that I can share with you, that's in the education system. On the right side, you have new actors. They create something, they create some value. That's the case with Internet Folk in Singapore, Khan Academy in US and in India, École 42 in France, or Coursera, for instance. All of them, they create very strong value. They create value. At the same time, they destroy the previous system. So creation and destruction come all the time together. It's not always that, only that. Innovation is 4 categories: product, process, commercialization, organization. As I said, if you want to innovate, you need to go into one of those categories. But you also need to understand the different degrees of innovation. 3 major degrees: incremental innovation, disruptive innovation, paradigmatical innovation. The first one is very simple. It's incremental innovation. As you can see on my table, I have so many cables, I have a laptop. So basically, if I remove the cable-less, for instance, I will have the same, but cable-less, it will be incremental innovation. I will just improve a bit a product. My laptop, if it becomes an iPad, for instance, it will become an incremental innovation. It will make it smaller, easy to carry, and so on. The second one is radical or disruptive innovation. Radical or disruptive innovation is when you will include technical gap, technical approach product into your product. For instance, the tactical screen, the touch screen, it's definitely a gap of the technology between the previous one, the traditional one, or for instance, the BlackBerry with a small keyboard, and the touchscreen inside, which is a more technological approach, a disruptive one. The third one, paradigmatical innovation, is more focused on science and discovery. So basically, innovation does not exist. Innovations, plural, exist. And if you want to innovate, you cannot just think about one product, new product or new services. You have definitely to think about the 4 categories of innovation: product, process, commercialization, organization, and the 3 degrees: incremental, disruptive, and radical. So basically, it means 12 possible ways to innovate, 12 different clusters to innovate, 12 different ways to innovate if you want to do so. Another point that I want to highlight about innovation is the notion of R&D. R&D means research and development. And to what extent R&D, research, developments could make sense and be coherent with innovation. That's very interesting. And the first thing we can keep in our mind, it's science or engineer. Some of you, for instance, they are engineers, they could be pharmacists and so on. Very strong research and development. But to what extent it become an innovation? As you can see, you have a certain numbers of companies, we call them the top spenders, R&D spenders. Volkswagen, Samsung, Sony, for instance, are very strong in R&D expenses. But it doesn't mean innovation. Let me rephrase. It's not because you're going to expense or spend a lot of money in R&D that at the end you will get some innovation. Let me give you an example with Apple. Apple expenses in R&D is half less than their competitors. Half less than their competitors. How they can do that? First of all, their focus and their ambition is not to deliver a new technological product, new amazing technology product. No. As we have seen previously with the French device, the Arcos One, they have decided to use this idea, some technological part, in order to do something else. Let me give you another example. Apple has decided to use the WinTech touchscreen. They use a lot of R&D, lots of ideas from Foxconn, a Chinese company. The purpose for them is not to create an idea. They are what we call it an open innovation process. An open innovation process, it's when you want to include so many technologies, so many ideas from outside, and you will take them back into your company in order to create something new, something innovative. So it's not because Apple spend half less than their competitors that they are not innovative. It's just another way, which is getting idea from outside. This point is very interesting. And why is it interesting for Asia? As you can see, you have here the numbers of patents per country since 1977 to 2015. They spend a lot of money in R&D. So as I said, R&D doesn't mean innovation. But, and the but is important, what kind of idea you can get or you might be able to get if you invest in R&D? It's a vast majority of ideas that you can collect, you can get, you can develop. It's disruptive one. So in other words, it's not compulsory for companies to invest a lot in R&D if they want to become innovative. But if they want to get a disruptive idea in that way, definitely they need to invest in R&D. That's exactly what's happened in the US since 1977 to 2015. Basically, they invest a lot in R&D and then they get patents to protect their big and strong discovery in R&D. That's why in the US, you can have a lot of disruptive ideas. On the left part of my slide, you have the latest actually innovative, disruptive innovations that it has been launched since 2000 approximately. So in US, they have decided to invest a lot in R&D, even though it's not a guarantee of innovation, to get disruptive idea. The question is, what is the future of innovation? And the future of innovation is exactly on the right part of my slide. China, India, Southeast Asia. Why? Very simple to understand. As you can see in my graph right here, since 2007 to 2015, the most important continent who invest in R&D is Asia. Within 8 years, Asia that came to the third place to the first one. China and India are the main drivers. So basically, if US and the Western world was very good in R&D, was very good and disruptive in idea and innovations, it won't be the case for the future. And they will definitely comes from innovative ideas, Asia. Very simple again to understand. Look about this kind of document. First of all, the patent by origin. China is the number one. The R&D expenditure, for instance, the scientific publication, another point, or the researchers, numbers of researchers, all of them, it's Chinese publications, Asians patents, R&D expenditures, and so on and so forth. In ASEAN, for instance, the number one is Singapore in terms of the patent by origin, the quality, the quality of scientific publication, and so on and so forth. So definitely, if the past was mainly Western, if the past was mainly from US in terms of R&D as well as disruptive ideas, the future will be in Asia. This is very important, interesting, and the question behind it's what kind of innovation you will get in Asia. Artificial intelligence, without a doubt. Artificial intelligence is the most important investment in R&D in Asia. Three main reasons. The first one, in Asia, they are less reluctant to embrace artificial intelligence than the Western one for many reasons. They truly believe they will fix more issues than create other problems. The second one is artificial intelligence and economical market in Asia Pacific is really promising. Billions of dollars are invested here in the zone. Investments are drastically more important in Asia than the rest of the world. One example is the Global Cities Artificial Intelligence Disruptive Index, is of course Singapore. The main questions, the main points, the main arguments why companies want to invest in Asia in artificial intelligence is because they will be able to fix their problem. Basically, 5 major problems in Asia. The first one is environment, climate change, archipelagos, pollutions, urban sprawl. Second one is education. Lots of millions, if it's not billions, of students that we have to train. The third one is about healthcare and the cost of the healthcare, the cost of the doctor. The fourth is agriculture, to feed people. And the last one is about financial services, about corruptions, for instance, and money laundering. So artificial intelligence can fix those problems. I don't have so much time to explain to you the details why artificial intelligence can fix environmental problems, education, healthcare, agriculture, and financial services. But basically, the billions that companies invested in them, those kind of topics, will be fixed thanks to artificial intelligence. And that's why in Asia, they invest a lot in this topic. The question for us, it's how is it possible to survive as an individual? I just explained a bit for the companies, but as an individual, that's the same approach. The same approach is the adaptations to change. Adaptations to change, that's back to different words. One is transformation. Another one could be the metamorphosis. Another one could be the conversion to be someone else. Or the modification, for instance, when you add something on your own. Transformation is also important. This point is very interesting for species, for plants, fruit, vegetables. You always have this kind of approach, metamorphosis, transformation, modification, conversion. And the question for us is, how could we do? Yourself, as a student, how is it possible to move from your current state, where you are today, with your bachelor degree, with your master degrees, and the future self, what you want to get? And most of the time, you know perfectly what you want to get a new one. It's basically the competitions, the job that you can get. And you've understood exactly what I said for organization, but for yourself. There is not so much possibilities. And the most important one is education. Without education, you won't be able to develop yourself. You won't be able to fit with the market demand. Whatever the school you would choose, definitely education is a step. Definitely, it's never a right and an easy choice to select this school, this path. And you are in what we call it in philosophy, the bivium. The bivium in philosophy during the antiquity part, that was period, sorry, you are in the middle of what should I do? Should I work? Am I able to work, to find a job? Or should I continue to another degree, which is the hard way? The hard way is to continue to work, to try to get another degree, to find a better job. Education, it's just a mean, it's a path, it's like, yeah, as I said, a tool in order to achieve something. And what do you want to achieve in your life? To get your dream job, to get more knowledge, to develop yourself? This is very interesting. And another philosopher that was in Prodicus, the period of times, the 4th century, the young people, as they become independent, already show whether they will move toward life via the path of virtue or that of vice. The question for you is very simple. Do you want, according to David Thoreau, another philosopher, what is your castle? What is the castle you want to build? Thoreau explained it clearly with a quote: if you have built castle in the air, your work needs to be lost, need not to be lost. That is where should be. Now put the foundations under them. So basically, what you have to do is to think about what do you want to do in your life, in your job, in your positions. And education will be your foundation. Education will be your foundation, and basically your foundation can be in literacy, competencies, characters, qualities. Look about that. It's very, very interesting. We truly believe that the 21st century skill will be divided in 3 parts. Foundational literacy, numeracy, scientific literacy, ICT, financial literacy, cultural and civil literacy. All of them are very important. But keep in your mind that all sciences, it could be scientific things, it could be everything, I would say, computational, could be fixed with artificial intelligence. So it's not easy to work on this notion of sciences. Another competencies, categories of science that you need to develop, competencies that you need to develop, it's the second one, with critical thinking, creativity, communication, collaborations. That's a very key pillar that you need to learn. And the third one is characters, qualities, curiosity, initiatives, persistence, adaptability, leadership, social and cultural awareness. When you have a school, when you run a program, you need to keep in your mind the 3 key pillars: the foundations, competencies, character qualities. And at ESSEC, we've tried all the time to think about this, we call it the must-have for your future education. The future of education, it's diverse time and place. It won't be just in one specific country or one specific campus. It will be everywhere. At ESSEC, we have decided to develop this international approach with 4 different campuses, and I would say 5 campuses because we have a virtual one. The SPOC is something that we've developed, small private online courses, to make sure that the students, where they could be, they can actually follow some courses. Even though they are in another part of the planet, even though they are, for instance, in an internship, they can follow courses as well, whatever they want. It could be on the evening, it could be on the morning, they can do that. Education and its futures is definitely in diverse time and place. Personalized learning. All of us are very different. The problem is, how is it possible to develop a personalized learning when you are, for instance, a business school? It's not very easy to do when you have very large numbers of students, and at the same time, you want to give them a personalized learning. There is one way to fix it. And the one way to fix it is to give the responsibility to the students. At ESSEC, you decide what kind of courses you want to follow. Even though you're master first year, master second year, or third year, we won't tell you you need to choose this course, you need to select this track or this option. At ESSEC, we have 9 core courses, only 9 core courses, the fundamentals. But you need to do and to choose, to select, to follow 25 courses. So the difference between 25 and 9, it's just on your own, on your hands. Another thing, it's the student ownership, very related to the previous point. Student ownership. From the very first day at ESSEC to the last one, what is your evolution? What is the path you've decided to choose? We've developed cognitive map in order to help the students to choose what he wants according to his just previous experience. For instance, you've done innovation track, you've done an internship in this field, you've done this investment in associations. Everything is actually put into the map in order to help you to continue the path that you want to do to achieve your goal. The future of education is also project-based. It cannot be just with theory. And with theory, which is very good theory, but we have to mix it with very real case study. That's why at the beginning of my talk, I mentioned this very important junior consulting experience. Very focused on learning by doing, but it's not the only one. The Asian Strategic Project in cooperation, in partnership with Capgemini Consulting is also very focused on that. You have a real project and you have to fix the project within a few weeks or a few months, and you will get some coaching from consulting firm as well as professor. Another must have for your future educations, it's field experience. Project-based is very important, but field experience, it's definitely also important. It's not just coaching for a real case study, but inside of the company. And at ESSEC, you will get the possibility to have an internship. It could be 3 months, 6 months, or it could be longer. Cross-disciplinary understanding. Most of the times, you've done something else before. Engineering, as I said, it could be pharmacies, it could be in literature, it could be whatever you want. And you will come to learn about business. What we take care of is you will continue to develop this cross-disciplinary approach. The cross-disciplinary approach is the capacity of the students to embrace different disciplines. We've designed a seminar, Imagination Week, and I highly encourage you to go to the website, Imagination Week. We have decided to design a seminar, 1 full week, dedicated to all but business, art, gastronomy, theater, science, philosophy, literatures, everything just to help the students to nourish his, her brain. Exam will change completely for your future education. And at ESSEC, we have decided to be really focused on peer evaluation. That's the case with the junior consulting experience, that's the case with project-based. The peer evaluation is important because it gives the responsibility to the students as well as to the one who will be evaluated. And the last one, it's mentoring will become more and more important for your future education. Most of the time you have one professor, you have classmates, and you do courses, that's it. We have decided to develop a mentoring program. Alumni, former ESSEC students, they will mentor you. So you will have someone outside of ESSEC, but an ESSEC alumni, to help you if you have questions about your path, if you have questions to find a job, and so on and so forth. So I can understand that after this kind of talk dedicated on innovation, how to change yourself, and about this question of what should I do now to transform myself, to adapt myself, you are disoriented, bewildered, perplexed, unclear, confused, unsure, and lost, which is a good thing. we have to doubt. We need to doubt about what we have to do. The purpose of the school, the purpose of advisors, the purpose of academic directors is to help you. But the first thing to do on yourself is to think about how is it possible to think about my own transformation, to survive, in novare, inside myself, inside my mind, what change I want to make. Definitely, education changed the life. Education is definitely the most important, if it's not the only way to change life. You will have a few weeks, a few months, think about your future. Think about the change you want to make. And who is responsible of this change if it's not you? Thank you very much.